Bodybuilders waste more money on supplements than anything else when they're going through contest prep and off season. And the worst part is a lot of the supplements they're spending money on don't even move the needle. So today I'm gonna be going over the supplements that you're wasting the most money on. My name is Luke Miller, owner of J3 Coaching, head educator at J3 University, where not only have we changed the way that people view physique coaching through our courses and educating coaches to a higher level, but we've also taken all that information we've built in the coursework and applied it with our entire team at J3 Coaching, where we've delivered Olympia qualifications, dozens and dozens of pro cards, and tons of overalls at the regional level across all the coaches on the team. And so what I want to do today is break down to you what I've seen across the hundreds of clients that we have on the roster, the things that waste the most money and aren't as effective at actually improving your physique development process. And the first one they're going to be looking at is testosterone boosters. The hard part about testosterone boosters is that they're not really actually giving you any kind of meaningful change on an actual hormone profile, whether it's fenugreek or tribulus or whatever the ingredient profile is of these over-the-counter testosterone boosters. They're not going to be worth the money at all, especially if you're an enhanced bodybuilder. Obviously, they're going to make no point because you're going to have the enhancements of the PEDs. Even some of the ingredients that have been shown to have some very small variance in the actual testosterone values, the increases are very small. They're usually shown in clinically deficient or stressed individuals, and honestly, the results vary quite a bit, where I wouldn't put a lot of credence even to the ones that show that very marginal difference. And so as a bodybuilder, in order to create an outcome that's going to be a huge net positive for tissue accrual or even tissue retention, we're looking at actually needing something that's going to shift your total testosterone, your free testosterone, by quite a bit. So by hundreds of nanograms per deciliter to get you super physiological, or if you're wanting to stay kind of in natural realms of test, like the upper range of that nanograms per deciliter from a testosterone value. So you're not seeing this happen with these over-the-counter test boosters. So a lot of these boosters, they're trying to target improvements through like lowered SHBG, maybe some improvements to signaling like LH and FSH, or any kind of thing to increase free T naturally. So when it comes to these testosterone boosters, one of the things I like to look at is how are these trying to create a result? Like obviously for the enhanced individuals, we're going to be using the most effective way to actually change a hormone profile, which is PEDs. So this is going to be injectable testosterone, other PEDs, things along those lines. But for the natural realm, like where you could potentially try to make an argument for this, how are these actually trying to make a difference? And so for some of them, it's, aimed at SHBG, trying to lower that to increase free test. Sometimes it's some type of improvement in LH and FSH in order to try to increase your natural output. But the problem is it doesn't actually remove the mechanism that drives the clinically deficient state in the first place, which for natural bodybuilders is going to be the contest prep in and of itself. So chronic deficits, large amounts of inflammation, being in that state for a very long period of time, combining that with probably some sleep detriments as a result of the fatigue that's building up across the contest prep, high cardio, low food. So these test boosters, not only are they not showing a ton of evidence for being efficacious and creating large change, they're also not addressing the root issue that's going to be driving this. So if you're one of those people that you've been competing for a long time or you've been dieting for a long time, and sometimes what you'll see in like non-resilient individuals is that testosterone value or those hormone profiles won't fully bounce back, especially if you've competed quite a few times. And so you'll slowly see that trend decline over time, combined with just the natural decline that you'll see over time with age. This is kind of where you'll see a lot of these natural bodybuilders transition into TRT or even move into the NPC-IFBB where they go into the enhanced route. It's because the ability to progress becomes really, really tough when your actual baseline hormonal environment is fighting you in the first place. So don't fall for the gimmicks. Test boosters aren't it. The evidence for them is very limited. They're going to be an absolute waste of money. I think this is pretty obvious, but I have to say it because we're in the day and age where like flashy and new from a social media perspective gets people to try to buy things. And so that kind of brings us to the second one that I would say is a pretty big waste of money is branched chain amino acids. Now, we're going to separate branched chain amino acids and essential amino acids because one of the core issues with branched chain amino acids is that it's only 3 of the 9 for the total essential amino acids we need for actually maximally stimulating protein synthesis and accruing tissue. And so overall, like one of the biggest things that I would say is like as a bodybuilder, your overall protein intake and the amount that you're consuming in the day, if you're consistent with your meals and you have them spaced out pretty evenly, so you're having 4, 5, 6 meals a day, you're more than likely covering your amino acid needs in the first place, where one could potentially make the argument that even the essential amino acid products aren't going to be overly beneficial as well. But for sure, branched chain amino acids are an absolute waste of money because they're not going to be triggering muscle protein synthesis. They're not going to be a full spectrum of amino acids. You're going to have the habits of hitting your total protein intake, spreading that pretty evenly throughout the day, having that space pretty evenly throughout the day as well, where it's not going to be overly beneficial. And so that kind of also starts to rule out essential amino acids. However, in some cases, I do see that the full spectrum aminos, so like an essential amino acid product that has all 9, can be beneficial. So if we look at like intra-workout setups for individuals, or some people who have really high caloric ceilings, a lot of times the intra-workout space is one of the places that we can actually fit caloric intake in. And so if we're gonna look at the intra-workout window, we're gonna look at 3 potential scenarios. So the first one is using essential amino acids in conjunction with a carbohydrate and electrolyte product. I am a pretty big fan of this in these cases. However, I actually say that the essential amino acid portion of this is not an essential portion of that actual combination in the intra-workout setup, because these people are often having a pretty large pre-workout meal, which is going to cover them from a digestion rate throughout their entirety of their workout. Drinking the carbohydrates is a way to just get a higher total carbohydrate intake through the day, and they're still going to be flooded with plenty of amino acids for muscle protein synthesis and recovery capacity. They're going to be having a post-workout meal shake combination depending on digestion factors post-workout, which is going to contribute to the recovery capacity on that protein side of the equation and the total amino acid accumulation across the day. So it starts to rule out essential amino acids as that. So the second one that I would consider is use of whey protein or PeptoPro. Now, one of the reasons I don't love this as an intra-workout supplement is usually digestion. Like, most whey proteins are pretty heavy, they're milk-based, and so like trying to drink them intra-workout is kind of gross, if for lack of a better word. It's something that doesn't help with being able to stay focused on training for a lot of people. It'll sit heavy in their gut. It can wreck digestion. And so some people will even sometimes kind of shift that into a product called PeptoPro. This scenario to me, I don't think makes sense either. And so these are the first 2 are ones to me that don't make sense. If you're going to have whey protein, you could have it just pre-training. You could have it post-training. Again, if you're having high enough total protein intake through the day, spreading your meals out evenly, it's not going to be a supplement that's worth it. And now the one case where I could see essential amino acids, again, branched chain amino acids, absolute waste of your time. The one case that I could see an essential amino acid product being very beneficial is if you train fasted. It's really hard to get in a full meal for the people that train fasted first thing when they wake up. And the main thing that they need are going to be carbohydrates to fuel training. They're going to need some sort of amino acids going in order to be able to help with recovery capacity, and they need hydration. So for those of you that are fasted trainers, an essential amino acid product that covers all 9 of the essential amino acids could be a product that you invest in, where you wake up, the first thing you start drinking on is your large 1 liter shaker of an electrolyte powder, carbohydrates. Sometimes you can find these in a combination product. There's a lot of great companies that do both hydration and carbohydrate powder in one product, and then your essential amino acids in there as well. In these cases, I'm using 25 to 30 grams of essential amino acids for that fasted session. So this is actually the one case that I would argue you could potentially see this being pretty beneficial. And so out of all of these, the conclusion of this is that branched chain amino acids are pretty much a waste. There's not really a use case for anybody in the physique development realm. Total protein intake is going to be high enough to cover all of your essential amino acids. You're going to be spacing that out through the day pretty efficiently. One can make an argument potentially for essential amino acid usage, but as I walked through those 3 cases, really the only one to me that makes the most sense is the fasted training scenario. However, some of you guys just love the taste of it. So if you like drinking on something that has a little bit of flavor throughout your session and essential amino acid products provides that for you, go ahead, have it, right? There is potentially some evidence that we could see some neural improvement from performance perspective with amino acids going in during training, kind of like giving you that awake trigger, that awakeness type feeling. However, a lot of you are taking caffeine pre-training, where it kind of negates that, because caffeine is going to be much more robust than any amino acid product is going to be. And so that is where I would look at this being a pretty big waste of money, except for that one use case that I set up for you guys. And lastly, my favorite one are pump products. I just don't get it. If you are an enhanced bodybuilder and you're using PDs alongside growth hormone, you have everything in play that is pretty much maximizing your ability to drive a pump during training. You're going to have elevated plasma volume, you're going to have increased nitric oxide activity, and you're going to have higher intramuscular fluid retention. All components of what a pump product is trying to do, and you've pretty much tapped that out from a physiological standpoint, having your 750, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 milligrams of androgens in play alongside your 3 to 8 IUs of growth hormone in play as well. well, you're not going to really be seeing a pump product move the needle that effectively, where in my opinion, this is going to be an absolute waste of money, because if you're this person, the best thing that you're going to be able to do in order to maximize your ability to get a pump in a gym is going to be consistently taking your PEDs. So this would be administration of your PEDs in a daily dosing, so you're not getting peaks and valleys in your serum levels, consistently making sure that you get your GH in every single day, having hydration status be on point every single day as well. So just as a reminder, hydration status is going to be not only fluid intake, but it's also going to be our electrolytes. So this is going to be sodium, magnesium, potassium, making sure that our diet hits those micronutrients that help support that through sodium intake from our foods, sodium intake that we add to our meals, and making sure that we kind of hit those numbers every single day, alongside being able to be well rested, so consistently sleeping, are all going to contribute to you having better pumps in the gym way more than the $50 pump product that you're wasting money on. So if you are an enhanced bodybuilder that has all of these in play, you have plenty of carbohydrates in play for your diet, you have your micronutrients sorted, you're well hydrated, you're well rested, it's just not really moving the needle in my opinion. It maybe adds a 1% and maybe you have some sort of placebo effect from it. And if that's it and you love your downing your pump powder pre-session because it's just your ritual and what you want to do, then have at it. But just understand, like, from an enhanced bodybuilder perspective, it's probably not creating the largest change in how much pump you have from your actual session, because all these other variables are going to be more impactful for that relative to the pump product. So off the back of this, today is your day to go audit your supplement cabinet. Go in there, throw away all the branched chain amino acid products, get rid of your pump products if you're an enhanced athlete. I hope that there's no test boosters in your closet. I hope we're past the need to actually have to talk about this, but I've came across it a few times from questions of some of the natural athletes. So just going to put it out there, get rid of them. They're not going to be beneficial. And if you want to know the products that I think are actually worth your money, I already did a video on this before. You can go check that video out next if you haven't seen it, where I walk you through all the products that I think are actually worth spending money on to actually change your physique development process. And if you want to learn more about everything that could potentially affect your physique development process, that's where we have the courses at J3 University. We have the level 1 curriculum, which is going to cover everything from PEDs to supplementation to nutrition to training to help you with your physique development process, whether you're an athlete or you're a coach. Or if you don't want to go into that much depth and you don't want to think that much in depth about this, and you'd rather hire someone who's been through all that coursework and applied all of this, you could also look at one of the J3 coaches. This is a team of coaches that have been mentored by myself and John Jewett and are delivering results week in and week out. And all you have to do in order to look at that is look into the description below. I have links for J3 coaching and J3 University as well, so you guys can check that out. And if you have any questions that pop up about maybe supplements that I didn't include in this video, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys are taking. You can share your opinions on stuff. I left a couple categories out of this video that I still think are wastes of money to kind of keep it focused on the top 3 that I think are the biggest waste. So let me know what you guys need. Make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Almost 50% of you that are watching these videos are not subscribed. Really helps us out, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. We're putting out 2 videos a week every single week, so we got a lot coming your way. Until next time, we'll see you out on the gym floor, making sure that you make the most of your physique development.